Black cisgender heterosexual identified men are killing Black trans women. Black ones.
We are not talking about it in the church.
Those street guys are already engineers. If they're mixing drugs and stuff together, they're chemical engineers.
If you're just like, yeah, let's kill 50 cops just because, that's only a fraction of the Black people that they killed. Wait, now you're talking about my wife.
For those of you who are joining in, we are talking about just the housing in the Black community and owning property, why it's important, and how to get yourself in there.
When I think of financial literacy, I just don't think of the classroom work. I think some of it is practical application.
I'm scared, especially, calling them to arms, talking about poll workers or poll watchers. That is rooted in history of voter suppression and intimidation.
Joe Biden needs to make that a part of his educational platform.
Call that shit out.
I don't see much value in you speaking in tongues, and yet when you speak in English, you don't say nothing for my people.
Many of the reasons why we're dying is because of the conditions we live under that cause our health to be so bad, and that cause it's the food, it's the water, it's clean that shit up first.
When their fathers had prostate cancer, I had like 150% chance of getting cancer, being diagnosed with cancer. I had a friend that did a raw vegan diet, 20 years remission, had thyroid cancer, never had surgery. I'm like, that's what I'm doing.
This week in Black People Shit, you play too much. Black gamers and the esport industry. I'm your host, Christy Ferris. Video gaming in the United States is one of the fastest growing entertainment industries in the country. According to a study released by the Entertainment Software Association, the computer and the video game industry added $4.9 billion to the economy of the United States. And some estimates that the worldwide gaming industry will possibly reach $70.1 billion. But what participation, I need to enunciate, but what participation are Black gamers contributing to this industry? And are they reaping any rewards from this worldwide phenomenon? Today, we have with us Jatovi McDuffie, Janora McDuffie's brother, founder and owner of Triangle Esports Championship, to discuss the evolution of Black gamers in this industry. As always, I have with me actress and original Laura Croft Tom Raider, Janora McDuffie, and writer and live action Grand Theft Auto champion Abdul Majid. Oh,
hey!
What's up, you look mighty African back there, McDuffie.
Hey, this is my Mexican-inspired Cinco de Mayo shirt.
Yes, I was just about to say happy. Well, go ahead. You already said it.
Yeah, happy Cinco de Mayo. And so I am purposely in front of the tree today, since that is the inspired work of creativity for this month.
I love it. Everybody out there, thank you for joining us once again. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Please share this week's episode. And if you want to join in the conversation, please make sure you put it in the chat. So, let's get started with everything. I love the tree for Cinco de Mayo. I can't wait to
Thank you.
Yes, for next month. So the first thing we're going to start with is the Mitch McConnell. He wants to get rid of or deny the 1619 project. And the 1619 project, if you guys don't know what the 1619 means, back, I would say in 1619 in August, when the first slave ship arrived in America. And so that's what they named this bill after, this project after. Biden has not made it mandatory to teach. It's basically showing a little bit more about history and what Blacks have contributed, redefining what slavery is, meaning instead of calling them slaves, but they are enslaved people. But Biden said, hey, we'll offer federal grants to schools if they use it. So what are your thoughts on it, with him saying that it's evil and that he doesn't like the fact that he feels like we're saying that American history is evil? Anybody who want to start? I'll start with, I guess, you, Janora. You look like you got something to say.
I mean, well, it's just exhausting. first and foremost want to give a shout out to Miss Nicole Hannah-Jones because she is a Tar Heel. She's a graduate of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. You know, I always got to give a shout out to fellow Tar Heels. And it's an honor to share that space with her, a woman who has brought work that has needed to be in our school system for such a long time. Yes. And I feel like the reason that we are struggling as a society is because we have yet to recognize what the true history of this country is. And just by calling it out doesn't mean that we are all bad or we are all doomed, but let's start from a common foundation and understanding of what the history of this country. And yes, it started, Man, I said shoot. See, I'm watching myself because I know the kids are watching. So, hey, little Layla, hey, Bennett. The history of this country definitely started way before 1619, but to even recognize it from 1619 instead of 1776 when the Declaration of Independence was signed is significant. And so I feel like the urge to fight it is just either one, you just don't understand what it's about, or two, you don't want the truth to get out. And just because it is, like, for example, for Mitch McConnell, just because it's what you inherited doesn't mean that has to be what it is. Just recognize the house that you were born into was because of the generational wealth that your family took off the backs of the folks that arrived in 1619. But let's start there and move forward together. So I hate that there is this stigma around it, like we're trying to divide. No, we're just trying to speak the truth. We're just trying to start from a common understanding to move forward together. That's all I got.
So just for a quote for you guys, Mitch McConnell said, "Families did not ask for this divisive nonsense. Voters did not vote for it. Americans never decided our children should be taught that our country is inherently evil." So what are your thoughts, Abdul?
First part, Janora, the reason I let you go first with this topic is because I want to go first with the next topic.
Oh, of course you do. But
yeah,
okay,
I do. So, but he said that at a discussion in University of Louisville recently, that it's not an important part of history. It's not an important point of history. He said it out loud. So I think that says enough about his position with regards to Black people in our history and what we've contributed to this society. If you don't think the start of the enslavement of a group of people in this country says anything, even though when they start their history, they start with the beginning of how they got here with Columbus and the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, and all the stuff we have to learn about the dominant culture. So, I mean, I don't expect anything less from Mitch McConnell, honestly. He's just, I believe him to be a racist person, even though he said that he isn't, or he believes he isn't. And I believe that our country is founded in ideologies like his. So I just don't think he wants to perpetuate the idea that we're a racist country because he benefits from it, and he wants to keep it that way. Right. I think that's the net of it.
Yeah, I just think a lot of these, we just need new blood. We need new blood in office, new ideas, new way of thinking, and it's driving me a little nutty.
I don't think new blood would change it, though. I think you look at the incumbents that come in after the old guard leaves. They still preach the same ideology. The Tea Party was a new thing. That wasn't an old thing. That's a new thing. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if it's a new blood. I think we need. I don't know.
I do hope that the younger generation, our generation, I really hope that, people are thinking in new ways. I have to believe that something can change. Well, what do you guys think about, so everybody out there, if you haven't seen it, Senator Tim Scott said that America isn't a racist country. He made this comment after Biden did his whole address to the country, but also
State of the Union.
Oh, the State of the Union. Sorry. So what are your thoughts about Tim Scott saying that? And of course, Kamala Harris also agreed with him that America isn't racist. Although Tim Scott had just came out of his mouth, I've been called a coon, I've been called the N-word, and yet he's saying that it's not a racist country. What are your thoughts on that? And as you guys are talking, I got to grab something because I spilled some water. So go ahead.
Yeah. So I hate to say I told y'all, but I told y'all that the Madam Vice President would do something to undermine the efforts of Black people in this country. I said it from the rip, and I still believe that it's still more to go. The issue with this for me is this. So if you look at law, they have a terminology when they talk about what is it? It's evidence, tainted evidence. The phrase called fruit from the poisonous tree. The idea, the logic behind it is that the evidence is tainted, being the fruit, because the tree, the source that provided the evidence, is corrupted as well. So the whole process is corrupted. Black people, when we describe systemic injustice or systemic racism, we use the same form of logic, that our system is corrupt, being that our health system, our banking system, our educational system is corrupt because the tree or the source that provides it is also, being that that's the United States. And we had a sitting United States senator, where there's only been 12 elected and 11 in seat, and the first Black vice president to say that the tree isn't poisonous, which undermines our whole position by saying that the system is systemically racist. By them saying this to the general public, it undermines everything that Black people have been striving for. Not everything, but the idea that we've been striving for, to push past this racist systemic system that we have, by these two substantial people in our government saying that no, the tree isn't poisonous, therefore the fruits that are provided are also not poisonous. That's essentially what they said. Because our argument is that the system is poison because the root is poison. And they're saying, no, the root is not poison. That's my issue with that statement.
That's a good point. What about you, Janora?
I think Abdul was itching. Oh, he couldn't even sleep last night because he could not throw my girl Kamala under the bus.
She threw herself under the bus. I just stepped on the gas.
Well, I will admit, like, if I'm gonna give it to Tim Scott, Kamala, in those words, America is not racist, did say the same thing. So I'll have to give them both equal treatment. However, at least, well, I don't even want to say at least, because I want to take them separately. I want to make sure things aren't taken fully out of context, because everything that she said in that full conversation after that supported that America was, and even some of the things that Tim said. I think it becomes hurtful language to those listening of saying America's not racist. But if you just look around, just like you said, Abdul, with the disparity of, you just name, fill in the blank, whether it's the banking system, the education system, healthcare system, jobs, housing, whatever, there's a huge gap. And the huge gap is because of residual effects of the original sin, the root that you talked about, which they did both recognize. I think the problem is there's nothing wrong with saying there's nothing wrong with saying America is racist, because that's not the end of the story. It's not a full stop. Well, it is a full stop. But then the next sentence is, what are we going to do about it? The next sentence is, let's come together. The next sentence is, okay, now that we recognize that and we see the wealth gap or see X, Y, and Z, that is still crazy because of racist policies, because of the color of our skin from generations and hundreds of years ago. What's next? How do we come together? How do we build a bridge? How do we move forward? And yes, Abdul, I do agree that it was a missed opportunity from two great people of color who are leaders today that people look up to. for them not to say that. And then even follow it up with, I'm not saying America's shitty, because America is a wonderful country. You're just calling out a flaw, and that's okay, because it's calling out in a way where we want to be part of the solution. So it was a missed opportunity, and it does become a bit more damaging when it comes out of a mouth of a person that looks like us, because then the people are just like, well, shucks, if Tim said it and Tim's daddy was granddad was a sharecropper, then I guess,
right.
It must not be.
And
so,
he raised in this world, so it can't be racist,
Yeah. And I think that goes back to the importance of the first conversation we had about the 1619 project. Let's start by speaking the truth and coming to a common understanding of what's going on so we can be part of the solution moving forward.
Yeah.
Racism is a little more than the flaw, though. Just to add on to that, it's a little more than the flaw. It is a little more than the flaw. It's a disease. It's corrupting.
See, I see Jatovi cracking up backstage. See,
yeah, I see him.
And my brother is itching to be in this conversation, by the way. This is his jam, by the way. Don't ever think about arguing with him on Facebook. You will not win.
Man. Well, we got to bring him in. Let me just bring him in real quick. Let me get you want to come on in and throw your 2 cents and what we got to say in this. Let me. There you go. Wait. Oh,
hey, Jatovi.
Go ahead, Martika.
Okay. Y'all are killing me backstage when y'all talking about this. While I think the issue is, while you're both correct, you're both incorrect. The problem is we become lazy as a community because we see the issues that go on and we want to generalize everything and make everything this. Everything is not the same. What Kamala Harris said is actually different from what Tim Scott said. Tim Scott became Candace Parker and actually gave cover to those racists who actually
Candace Parker was only laying baskets.
Oh, I'm sorry. Candace Owens, that crazy lady. She's the one who gives cover to those who actually feel that way. That's what Tim Scott did. Tim Scott, 2 seconds before, after he just said, look, hey, I've been a victim of racism, but racism doesn't exist. What are you talking about? Candace Owens did the same exact thing where she sued people for racial discrimination, then went straight to the Congress and said, racism doesn't exist. Woman, you just sued people for racism. What Kamala Harris did is actually the missed opportunity. What she said is, yes, okay, America, truthfully, she's trying to talk about the people and say, okay, there are some people, we're trying to come together. We're playing the political role. Hey, everybody, let's be all as one and not be racist because, hey, I'm listing out the systemic racism that actually happens. So let's work together and move forward. So she's not really she's playing the politician and not actually playing the actual, hey, let me go ahead and say America's racist and this and that. That's not what she wanted to do. She didn't want to start out with a fight because what happens is when people say, for example, if you start a conversation with any person who is not Black, start that conversation by saying America's racist and then go into trying to explain other things. What happens? You get stuck on that, hey, I'm not racist, because you're not talking to an individual that is. You're actually generalizing and saying that everybody is. That's what Kamala Harris was trying to do. So yes, she had a missed opportunity in trying to explain that. And she listed off issues and everything else saying, okay, hey, institutionalized systemic racism is a real thing and we have to work forward. There are individuals out there who are racist and we have to ostracize them and isolate them and make people understand that, hey, racism is a problem in our country that we have to move past. We have to crush it together. But Tim's saying, hey, racism isn't real, even though I just had racism. There's a big difference in the two, and we cannot play that lazy card and just say, hey, these things are the same.
Yeah.
When you're done, can I respond to that?
Absolutely. Okay. I definitely think you're right. It was a missed opportunity. I guess I just feel like in 2021, throughout our whole lives, we've always had to shut our mouths. We've always had to think about what we're going to say before we say it so that we don't offend anybody, and we don't want to lose our job, and we don't want to, all those things. But I'm like, we are in 2021 and we need to call a spade a spade. And I was disappointed. Tim Scott, you're right. I agree with you. Tim Scott was a whole nother situation that you can't even put them in the same category. However, like you said, it was a missed opportunity, and I was disappointed with her not taking it further because we're looking up to her. We voted her in hopes that she was going to end up doing something and making a change, and she probably will. Before you jump in, let Abdul go ahead and and then we're going to get to some of these comments that we have on here.
All right, so the issue isn't that they're two different things. They were both talking out both sides of their mouths. That's the problem. No, let me finish. The problem is that they were both wrong by saying that this country is not a racist country. Anything after that is just filibustering, just to appease their party. The problem was the fact that both people, black people, who've done stuff and said stuff in the past to undermine the positioning of black people, I'm not done, have done it again on a national stage to give ammunition to the Tea Party and the Trumpsters and all these other groups of people. That's the main issue. The main statement is the core. America is not a racist country. Anything after that is ancillary. One is just talking about how there might be problems. That's like saying, I didn't rape her. He didn't rape her, but he might have touched her. He might have blah, blah, blah. Like, instead of saying, nope, that's rape. They cut out the main part of the argument and then started filibustering with all this other nonsense. And to me, that's the same.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me jump in real quick. Now, Abdul, what you said was exactly why I started the statement by saying that we become lazy as a community.
How?
Number one, throughout the whole, ever since she's been elected, what has she talked about? She's talked about systemic racism. She's talked about ways to get over racism. She's talked about her heritage. The only comment that she has made was that one in that interview, which honestly, somebody has actually pointed out the fact that, hey, she said that one time in one interview, and that's all we're looking at.
That's not true. She said that statement, but she said other statements that undermined the black community for a long time. There's a list of it, and she's done stuff to undermine the black community for a long time. She has a record of it.
Not
as the vice president.
Not as of the vice president, but she has.
Not as the vice president, but her history as a senator, as an attorney general. Her resume says it all.
So
wait. Hold on. I want to make sure we wrap this up because we need to get on to the next part of our subject, and I want to make sure we get some of these people in here because it is a community show. I don't want to be going back and forth.
And we're supposed to be talking about video games.
I know.
See, that's why I love this.
Janora, why don't you jump in right now and some of these comments that we have going.
I would love to. By the way, Jatovi, Abdul's always going to try to have the last word. So don't even sweat it.
I always get jumped by the McDuffie, so it's like 2 against 1 every time.
Me and you, Abdul. All
right. Tim has got something to say. Tim says the white dominant hold on this country is slipping away with the changing demographics, and the 1619 project will only accelerate their decline. It will open the eyes of younger white kids, and they will undoubtedly turn their back on the supremacist views. I'm sorry, it cut off on that that end. Yes, so the views of their older family members. Great, thank you for that, Tim. We've got Daoud in the house. How you doing, Daoud? He says, Rep. Scott and Vice President Harris are both being willfully ignorant. The ideas of manifest destiny, colonialism, and exploitation are race-specific oppression and genocide sanctioned by the American government, which makes the USA a racist nation. Let me finish reading because Daoud was
and policy. The American Dream presents how the USA should be able to overcome its weakness built on systematic racism.
Well, all right then, Daoud and Kim. I'm sorry, Tim. Hello, Tim. How you doing today? Welcome back. I did not mean to put a K instead of a T. Kamala has called out racism and said this country is racist in previous interviews. Thank you, Tim. She just didn't say it in that interview. She was wearing the VP hat and now has to put her views in the backseat and representation. But yes, she missed.
But yes, she missed an opportunity.
Yeah. So thank you both, Daoud and Tim, for your insightful comments and participating in the conversation.
So before we get into this whole gaming world, I just want to make sure we bring up that there is going to be a versus battle coming this weekend with SWV and Escape. So who you got? I got SWV. Who you got?
Just kicking was like the joint. But you know what? I'm SWV. I'm with you, Christy.
Abdul?
I got Kamala saying something else to undermine the integrity of Black people in this country.
You can't even have fun.
I got SWV chilling under the waterfall with Kamala Harris, just doing a thing because she knows it is.
I can't with y'all. I'm done. I'm done. But I do love the discussion. If we had a lot of time, we would definitely keep this going. And just so you guys know, they are about to make a Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever. Some good stuff coming up with that. If there's anything that you guys want to say real quick about it, otherwise I'm going to jump into our next segment.
No, let's go. Let's keep it going.
Just a quick point on the Black Panther 2.
Oh yes, please.
Because see, I'm a big nerd. You see the comic book stuff in the background. You know, or knows I read comics and all that mess. People are upset that and fighting for recasting Chadwick Boseman's character. They don't honestly need to, because Shuri in the comic will end up becoming Black Panther at one point. So right now you have your Black Panther already, because Shuri's supposed to be the next Black Panther.
Oh, okay. See. I love it. Well, go ahead.
No, I think the pushback was, and this is just a total of the Marvel universe, was the fact that they feel like they're doing the social justice warrior thing to the comic strip, making Shuri. No, I know what the comic says. I'm talking about the mass audience from the stuff that I've read, because you have Captain Marvel 2 coming out, and it's the woman lead. Then you have Black Panther 2, which is now a woman lead, and then they're taking the Thor Love and Thunder one, and that's supposed to also be, I think, the woman's something related to. So I think the people are having an issue with that part of it, which I don't have an issue with, but I'm saying they have an issue with.
Because
that's just a lack of understanding of what the comics actually are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But I mean, it's the overall scope of the fact that Captain Marvel 2, Shuri becoming the Black Panther, and then in Thor Love and Thunder, the woman taking the lead, because at least she gets the power of Thor at some point in the film, something like that. So people are the whole scope of it. People are upset about it, calling it.
Like I said, they don't understand the comics, because the woman Thor has been in the comics for a very long time. Captain Marvel actually
was around.
Well, people are more mad that Captain Marvel wasn't Monica Rambeau, because she was actually the first Captain Marvel, rather than she was a Black woman. And everybody wanted to see Monica Rambeau. Now that she's in there, it's going to be interesting. But the social justice thing, that is the root of what actually Marvel Comics is about. From X-Men to the Avengers, Black Panther itself. They told, I think it was Stan Lee or the creators of Black Panther, that they wanted more white people in Black Panther. They literally told them that. And you know what? In the next issue, Black Panther fought the KKK. So that is the root of comics, or Marvel comics. DC as well, but yes, that's what Marvel Comics is about. It's about social justice. It's about learning and moving and progression. That's why they lead the way in a lot of areas.
I don't know much about the whole comic world, but I know that they are coming out with the Catwoman with what's her name, Zoe. Yeah, so I know it's not quite the same, but just bringing up the other one, and I just want to make sure I got something in there because oh, Janora, this is what you grew up with, huh? He like da. I love it, y'all. I'm sure y'all was going back and forth because y'all both got a lot of things to say, which is amazing. He looked like he's about to say something too, but
I'm the third child. She's the baby girl. You got to talk all the time. Now I get to talk some.
I love it. Well, just so you guys know, thank you for joining us. As you can see, we do have a special guest on today. He is a native of Durham, North Carolina, and has been the on-field announcer at the Durham Bulls Athletic Park since 2004. But his interest in the world of esports has brought a whole new light to the city of Durham. In 2016, Jatovi McDuffie brought to fruition the award-nominated DBAP Gaming Challenge to Durham. It was Durham's first major dive into the world of esports. His drive to bring the esports world to the mid-Atlantic region has allowed him to slowly increase local awareness as well as create inroads with some current established esports communities by creating Bull City Gaming. Please welcome to the show, Jatovi McDuffie.
Yay! Thanks, in the house. And the only thing that the that bio did not say, well, not the only thing, but one another important thing that the bio did not say of Jatovi's life is he's an awesome dad.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
You said you did stand-up comedy too, right? And improv.
Done improv since about 99, 2000. I did some stand-up in between of there as well. But yeah, been doing comedy for a long time.
I love it. I love it. So let's talk about this whole esports. Give us just a breakdown, because I know this is a new world for myself for sure, but I know it's a new world for a lot of people that are out there. I'm sure there's a lot of people who have no clue what it is. I only know a little bit just because we do audition for, a lot of the voiceover world and stuff like that. So we do know a little bit, but just give us a little breakdown of what it is.
So the esports industry is a sliver of the actual video game industry. The video game industry is a behemoth. It dwarfs the music and movie industry combined. It in 2019 or 2018, it grossed over $165+ billion, and it just grows, astronomically. The thing about video gaming and esports is, if you think about rec league basketball and the NBA, it's still the same. It's still basketball, all of it, and a bunch of people play basketball. But rec league is definitely different from the pros, but you're still playing basketball. In esports and the video game world, if you're playing video games, you're playing rec league. But then once you start to get the esports area, then you're starting to look at doing the NBA stuff. So it's the esports, for example, the esports is growing roughly about 40% every year in terms of gross revenue. If one of the best places to do a bunch of research on the amount of money being made in the esports industry is to check out newzoo.com. Also, Statista has a bunch of good statistics as well. In 2019 and going into 2020, esports grossed, just esports, not the video game industry, but esports jumped over that $1 billion in revenue mark. Once it jumped over that $1 billion in revenue mark, it jumped into one of the top 10 sports across the globe in terms of revenue making, because the NFL makes, that ungodly amount of money of $20+ billion, NBA doing, close to $15 billion. You got, your different soccer leagues and highlight on down. There are tons of sports leagues out there, but esports crossed over that $1 billion marker. They're talking about it hitting $1.4 billion coming up. So wow. It's just ridiculous in terms of esports. Video gaming, to think about numbers and talk about money and everything that's out there. If you look at Fortnite, Fortnite is a free-to-play game. There's a difference. Some people don't understand what free and free-to-play is. If it's a free game, that means that's your game. You get to have it. Everything about it is free. It's yours. Free-to-play means, okay, well, you can play it, but if you want to play more, if you want some neat stuff, we got some in-app purchases or some in-game purchases, so you have to pay more money. So that's free-to-play. Fortnite is a free-to-play game. On the inside of Fortnite, you have, I guess they would in-app or in-game purchases. Those in-game purchases are skins. They don't, or skins, or it changes the color of what you have on or what your weapon may be. So think of a skin as like a t-shirt. So you pay for a t-shirt. It doesn't help you do anything more, but in your character, it makes you feel more it makes you feel more connected with that character as a player. That's the way you want to look like in the game. I have my own identity in the game. So as a player, you're connected with and that's your skin. But you pay for these skins, and between 2018 going into 2019, Epic in this free-to-play game made $9 billion.
What? With a B?
Yes, with a B. $9 billion.
Wow.
That's the money that gets tossed around in the video game industry.
So
people also think about, esports is just about tournaments and all this other stuff. No. Yes, there are tournaments involved, which they've given out close to, if you want to know about how much money is tossed around, for example, you go to esportsearnings.com. Right now, they've given out roughly and this is just the major tournaments that have actually documented their paperwork and turned it into this website. Because remember, esports is everywhere and there are small tournaments running. So they've given out close to $1 billion in tournament money. They've given out there are tournaments out there that have given out $30,000 for a prize pool, on upwards to $250 for a prize pool. They've given out 20 some odd $1 million for a prize pool. That's just the esports industry, and some of the money that's just in tournament side.
Right.
Then,
let me just jump in because I want to make sure that we get some of these questions in, because I'm sure you can give a whole bunch of information.
Oh yeah.
Let me let Abdul go ahead and jump in.
I got two questions. First question is, who are considered gamers? Because you said, is it like, are the NFL players, in your analogy, the NBA players, the NFL players, the pros considered gamers, and everybody also rans, they're not sort of gamers? And the second part is Black participation in this. I know a lot of Black people who play video games. I'm talking from celebrities to athletes who promote these games, who go to competitions. Ocho Cinco plays the soccer for FIFA, the whole nine. Are we getting compensated the same way as anybody else with regards to in the esport world? Is it a meritocracy, or is it this undergirding of racism that infests everything?
So that right there in a nutshell is kind of what I'll do on my show, and we'll talk about that because it's breaking down barriers. That is a very deep question, and I'm gonna try and do my best to answer it. So first and foremost, the Black participation it's low. It's very low for the Black participation. Why? If you look at what the major games are that are giving out money. So when I point out that $1 billion in prize pool money, that $1 billion is mainly going to people that play in PCs. So in our community, and that hits our community hard, because in the Black community, you got it. And why?
I didn't hear what you said, Abdul. What did you say?
Gaming console. We use the gaming consoles, the PS4 or PS5 or whatever it is.
And so that is because and don't get me wrong, PlayStations and Xboxes and Switches, all of them, all the gaming consoles are great consoles and fun to have. But if you really want to get into the esports industry and really dominate, and actually because my whole goal is getting out of the mindset that the esports industry is me sitting and just playing video games. There's so much it touches into. And if we can break down the mold, because, okay, consoles are great. Consoles are phenomenal, but you don't make money on consoles because your high level gamers are playing on PC because that is where the industry is.
Yeah.
That industry, and because in the Black community, the ease of access is in consoles because it's cheaper.
Yep.
And you don't have to upgrade it.
Wow.
If you think about the PC itself, if you get a low end PC at roughly about $500 to $1,000, you're going to have to upgrade that PC to keep up with the gaming industry itself. In a console, you have a 5 to 10 year market that you're sticking with that, spending that $300 to $500 just on that one thing. But the PC, again, the opportunities that you have, you forget about that investment. And in the Black community, we go for that cheap side because it's affordable to us. Mm-hmm. And so in terms of, okay, the participation, that participation is hit because of, and so low because of that accessibility to the PC market and looking at it in a different view. Because again, getting out of the mindset of just sitting there playing video games. As you see, I've got a ticker going on my screen right now that's rotating through. Having a PC when I'm young and being able to program and learn, okay, I can create graphics and so on and so forth because, hey, I'm still playing video games, but guess what else I can do? I can now create graphics for a video game because now I can mod the video game or adjust the video game's inner workings to make it do what I want it to do. So you can't do on a console.
Right.
So that's where, again, all that money and everything else, but that participation is low in if you look at the PC market. But in terms of the console market, yeah, okay, we got NBA 2K.
So the reason, so a lot of these, people who in the Black community or in the community, low income community, they're not able to participate as much because they're not able to buy the ones that are more expensive and that really gets them in the game to make that money. So maybe because they need to be exposed to it a little more. Janora, I'm gonna let you jump in because you haven't had a chance to ask a question.
Oh, I've just been taking this all in. I mean, Jatovi and I had spent years growing up playing every Nintendo game, every PlayStation game. But then it lost me. And Jatovi kept with it. And now look at him now. Look at Big Brother now. So I just commend all that you are doing and spreading what your passion is with our hometown. I think that's dope. I think it's really a blessing and a dream to do what you enjoy doing. So maybe talk about that. Talk about how you are taking all of what you just dropped and infusing it into the Bull City.
So the impetus to put this thing together came from that. I had sat down with a couple of people and they talked about, why am I doing this? Can you create 3 pillars around it? I'm like, okay, yeah, I've got the idea. This is what I want to do. And the impetus, the way it broke down, and the reason I deep down wanted to do this was one, yes. And Abdul, you might agree with this. And I wholeheartedly believe this. So in Durham, we're having a problem with gentrification here and there. Mm-hmm. Everywhere is. My understanding and my belief is that the best way to fight gentrification is through education. If I understand and know my worth, I won't sell my house for $10,000 because I can take that same money and make it into that $10 million that you're going to sell it for. So the understanding that if I can know my value based off of understanding and education, I can improve myself and my community. So that right there was the basis of Bull City Gaming, because I was like, okay, well, if I could somehow create a community of gamers where people, a place where, hey, you know, I just want to play. I want to have a safe community because I didn't even touch on the dark side of esports yet, but we can get into that later. But I want a safe place for people to come and say, hey, I want to play a game. I want to learn about new things. I want to understand, okay, hey, I can meet somebody who may play Black Desert, and I'll enjoy playing Black Desert, or somebody playing Fall Guys, and I can grow that way. So creating a community around that. Also creating tournaments for these people to play in, because it gives them something to drive and strive for. And not those pro level players, because those pro level players are always going to make the individuals that are your casual gamers not want to compete, not want to grow, and not want to be a part of the community. So I wanted the individuals that just want to be there and be a part of, so they can create and grow. And
you've been doing this since 2016? Yeah.
No, before that. I had to do a whole bunch of research before that.
Oh, wow.
So that was one of the pillars. That second pillar is, hey, I want to create a place where developers can say, look, I want to be able to support you in the community, because I know that third pillar being, okay, that community has some talented artists. So those talented artists are local or easy to connect with, because they are already in a community that is in a $160 billion industry.
Mm-hmm.
So that second pillar being the businesses locally supporting the community or supporting the industry itself, leading to that third, which, hey, I can hire within the community. So now I have that cyclical effect, and it doesn't make me reach out and have to search for a bunch of people, because they're already a part of something and they're wanting to grow it. And they may want to do the same with my business. Because again, going back to the statistics, if you look at the reason snack companies and drinks and all the other stuff are jumping into esports, you know, both feet, they jump that broom big time, is because the esports players, or those in that community, they are 30 to 40% more loyal to a brand than the actual individuals that, you know, go to an NBA game.
So let me just jump in. I want to make sure we get to some of these comments that are on here. Janora, would you like to read some of them?
We got Tangerine in the house. What's up, Tange? Always love seeing you and appreciate your beautiful, sexy Tangerine self in the house. She says, hey, BPS fam, and hey, Jatovi. And she also said, yes, Jatovi, that you are fancy over there. I'd also like to welcome the other McDuffies. We got James McDuffie checking in. He says marketing and lack of awareness is the reason, hence you on the show. And that's talking about the participation of folks of color in this whole gaming industry. And even got the final McDuffie, Jamel McDuffie, my one and only sister, showing up in the house, rounding off the 4 kids. And she's reminding us that it started with Atari, which predated our Nintendo. I wasn't born when Atari was out. I'm not sure what she's talking about. And then we also, Tim says, my son is an environmental artist for Sledgehammer Games and works on the Call of Duty franchise. Nice, Tim. Call of Duty has made $27 billion for its parent company since 2003. It's a huge business. Shucks, 27 billion? I would say so. And then last but not least, Kimberly Morgan's in the house. Hey, Kimberly, do you think, she first said before the question, knowing your value is 100% the key. That was in response to Jatovi talking about gentrification. Mm-hmm. And then Kimberly follows up with the question and asks, do you think there are issues surrounding kids and gaming time? I think that's a great question and segue to another topic.
Yeah, I love it. What are your thoughts on that?
So you have to think about gaming as the same way you think about watching TV. There is a problem with screen time when watching TV. which means there's a problem with screen time when you're playing a video game. However, a bigger issue that kids run into is that parents will believe that there's no educational value in particular games. And that's the Kimberly, I don't know if that's what you were trying to stress as well, because that's one of the big stressors that a lot of parents that I've discussed with on my show is that is their problem, is that they feel that kids don't get educational value. Kids are just lost in the minutia of watching this game, and they're just it's addictive. The tournament that I did just recently, as a matter of fact, is I received an email from a parent saying that I am promoting violence because the game had Fortnite. It's all a lack of understanding of what the game is, the same way the understanding of what your kid is actually learning from. Because games have a huge value and a huge understanding in the educational ways. If you think about Khan Academy has games on there. Think about 18 House is a video game platform.
Right.
So speaking of platforms, and because I want to go off of something that Tangerine said. If you can go back to Tangerine, my hubby CT and I each are Twitch affiliates, and he is making good money streaming Mortal Kombat as we speak. So to go back to your previous statement, I don't exactly agree with you with the gentrification and the educational part of it. That's a different thing. I think it's access to resources, but that's a whole nother conversation. With regards to Twitch, I heard for a while recently Twitch had to change some of their laws because they were having issues with racism and sexism and things of that nature. And I do hear often from the casual gamer that when you wear the headsets and you're competing with other people, there are all sorts of racial slurs going back and forth. So do you think the gaming community is doing a good job, places like Twitch and what have you, are doing a good job trying to muffle some of this noise, this racist noise? And if not, what would you do to try to curtail some of these issues?
So that is the dark side of gaming. The gaming world, there's so much anonymity think about gaming or the gaming part of that. Think about Facebook posts, the comment section. How the anonymity in that comic section really blows up, where people start yelling off some crazy things and it just explodes. That's also in gaming, and that's a dark side of gaming, where racism is huge in gaming. Sexism is extremely huge in gaming. I don't know if you guys have heard about what doxing is. Doxing is in gaming. That's huge. There was actually, if I remember, there was a kid shot because somebody did the whole doxing, and the cops.
Can you explain to them what doxing is? I know what it is, but can you explain to our audience what doxing is?
I don't.
So if you're playing in the gaming world, if you're playing someone and you figure out their address and you call the cops on that individual and you send the cops to their house, that's doxing.
Yes. They did that to Tariq Nasheed, the internet social media guy. They called to his house, said that there was a dead body in there. He got raided, the whole nine. Yeah, when somebody was murdered, they do that in gaming.
Yeah, that happens, and that is the dark side of gaming. That stuff happens. The only way to combat that is the same thing that you have to do in all the social medias. You can't use real world ways of blocking that, because if you use real world, it's the same thing in Facebook. You know somebody's going to get through it. The way Among Us right now is one of the hottest games out there. It came out in roughly about 2016. It didn't kick off big until it came out in 2017. Didn't kick off big until 2018 going into 2019 because the pandemic hit and people started streaming it. But it used to have in Among Us where you could type, okay, this person, so first, Among Us, let me explain what Among Us is, because you guys might know what that game is. So Among Us, if you think about it, it is a game of Clue. And you know when you played the card or the board game of Clue, trying to figure out who done it?
Mm-hmm.
Among Us took that in a digital form, placed you in a spaceship or on a planet with 10 other people, one to 3 of the other people that you're there with, and it could be you. They are killing people and causing havoc on that planet. You have to figure out who is doing the killing or destroying of the spaceship or whatever you're on. That is the simple way of explaining what Among Us is. It is one of the biggest hits for pandemic times because it brought a lot of people together, and it's a huge social gathering or social way of bringing social gathering virtually. It's fun, it's enjoyable. I would suggest you 3 playing it, or everybody even joining, just downloading and playing it, because a lot of kids are playing it, but it's also really fun. On the inside of the actual game, you had to talk with one another. The best way to talk with one another is you would, like, if you thought Janora was going around killing everybody, you would type it in. Janora's a sus, or Janora suspect. I saw her do whatever. You would
is sus
all the time. So you would type that in. But because it became such a dark, people started cursing, people started attacking others. They took that out, and now they've created a communication wheel. So you're only able to say what's on that communication wheel. It stinks, but that's what happened, and that's how they're fighting against it.
So
Riot Games right now, for example, and that's out in California. Riot Games is having a big problem with sexism. And so they're having to battle that. And there's just, that's the dark side of the industry, and it's tough to do because there's
don't you think that gaming desocializes and dehumanizes people, because now you're just an object. You're not a person with emotions and feelings. And so if my avatar is in a game, you can kick me, shoot me, hurt me. These first-person shooter games, they say spawn a lot of socialists say that they make the rise of the
mass shooter.
Mass shooters, yeah. And then these incels, it's a whole nother part of it that they go into.
That's a fallacy.
Yeah.
Fallacy.
One second. I want to let you answer that quickly, and then I want to make sure we get to the people who are commenting. So answer that one real quickly, and then we're going to throw some of these up so people can get their 2 cents in.
That's a fallacy because they've done psychological research. Every big game studio, from Rockstar Games all the way down to Boss Key, which actually closed its doors. They bring in psychologists. They study this stuff. It does not have that effect. And in terms of making people objects, that's a misunderstanding of what that avatar is, because there used to be a saying, and it still goes, you're not friends unless you're friends on Facebook. That's the same in gaming. And it's bigger in gaming because when you create that avatar is you. It is everything that you see yourself as. It is everything that you want to be. And when somebody else does the same as a gamer, you see that and you're like, that is so cool. And you want to know more about them. So it doesn't create that antisocial behavior. There's actually a lot of social behavior that it creates. And when people do LAN events or bring everybody together and everybody plays a game, it's huge because these individuals want to come and meet that avatar, that they see on the screen, or they want to meet other friends. So it's actually a misconception because that avatar for a gamer is that person. It really is.
So Tangerine said, gaming is like real life with racists, etc. But the people who watch us are usually just our fans who already like us. And then we have some young people in the house. Let's see. Kenise said, when I play video games, it will be a lot of screen time. It'd be up until like 5 a.m. And then she responded again down here, where she said, I don't know what NGL is, but Among Us had mad haters, always voting me an imposter. Oh, I guess that was the game.
Yes. And Kenny, I believe, is checking in from the Bahamas. So welcome back to the show. Good to see you.
Yay. Let's see. That is true, because I always think that when Jameson is playing, and then somebody what'd you say?
No, I was just, that was from Quanda, who is married to James. So another McDuffie by marriage in the house.
I love it. Go ahead and read this one. Go ahead and read this one for us.
So Kimberly, who had asked the question earlier about screen time, does see the educational value at times, but it's just more in the screen time. And she didn't know if you had any suggestions for that. And then Quanda also piped in and was saying that she didn't see the educational value in Fortnite, which I will agree with.
Somebody's loving what we have. I never knew so much about gaming. It's like,
hey, Monica.
Yeah. And then we have, how do we handle or address predators on the net to protect our children? Good question.
So to address the educational value in Fortnite is more than just shooting. And that's what we get caught on. Fortnite, you can think about Fortnite about how they build and the chess game that is played. So the chess game itself, of building and trying to figure out where somebody is positioned. There's also teamwork. You've got to communicate. So there's a communication value. You're always talking to the players that you're playing with. If you think about, again, that building, think about city planning. What do you have to do with city planning? You have to build, and you have to figure out ways to take these squares and make something out of it. And that's what you do in Fortnite. You actually build a fort. You literally do that to protect yourself. So if you think about city planning or any type of architecture, there's a ton within Fortnite. And that, again, that's why we got to get over that hurdle of saying it's all about killing. Well, it's not.
So it's like city planning with murder.
Well, think about New York City that has it as well. So again,
yeah. So answer this question here. How do you handle or address predators on the net to protect our children? Hey, you guys, we're running just a little bit over. We're going to be wrapping it up pretty soon. I do want to get to just a couple more. So how do you protect, predators?
So that again is a tough one. And that one can be tied to what Kimberly asked about the screen time. It's about monitoring. It's the same thing about watching what your kids are playing and understand what they're playing. Yeah. That's the only real way to address not only screen time, because if you feel that, 5 hours is too long, make 5 hours too long. If you feel 2 hours is too long, make 2 hours too long. And it's the same thing with child predators and stuff like that. Make sure you address the security stuff that's with the child security stuff within games like Roblox on down to even Fortnite. Knock off the chat. You can do that within a game. But there's always going to be somebody within any game you play that's going to do something wrong. They're there. You have to, it all boils down to be that parent and watch. If you understand the game and they understand, and you understand what they're saying, so you can communicate with them better, and the kid will begin to trust you. There's a program that I've created that I'm working with the Durham Police Department, where I'm having the police, sorry to run a little on this, but this kind of answers the child predator thing. But it's basically where the kids actually communicate better with the police officers while playing the game. They trust them and tell them situations that they're dealing with.
Snitch.
Same thing, yeah, Join a Lucas song about it. It's great. But that's the way you actually have to deal with child predators. That's the best way. You can turn all the security stuff and fight with the parental control so your kids don't see it. But it's mainly know what your kids are playing, sit down with them. Don't attack them. Don't say, oh, well, Fortnite has no educational value or Call of Duty sucks. understand that Call of Duty, maybe a 10-year-old shouldn't play, but if they're playing it, know what it's actually about and understand that you've got to talk to them about it because it comes up with some World War II stuff. Okay, well, let's talk about World War II. Why was it there?
Okay, so there's a few quick questions. Kenise definitely said building in Fortnite is not for the weak. She's I want to say she's about 15, if I'm correct. If I'm wrong, Kenise, then forgive me. Is Warzone okay for a 12-year-old? Honest opinion. And then we have another question for you.
Oh, honest opinion for me, I wouldn't recommend it for a 12-year-old. But if they are playing it, sit down with them so you can break down what they're seeing and not let them just digest it and say, okay, this is the way it is.
It's called Warzone. It's like saying murder, murder, kill. Is that good enough for your child?
So I had a girlfriend whose son is really big on playing these games, and I don't know, something happened where he was saying some things to some of the other players, and he was probably about 15 years old, and they banned him for a month from being on there. But here's the kicker that was really odd is that they wouldn't tell the parents what he said. They would not share that information with the parent. And I thought that was a little strange. The next question is right here. What do you think about, what is it, Apex?
Yep, Apex Legends. It's actually a very fun game. It's a 3-on-3, similar to Fortnite and everything else, but they just opened up to an open world area of Apex, which I haven't had a chance to really try because I've been playing some other stuff. But yes, Apex, in terms of kids, again, I wouldn't recommend it for a 5-year-old, but hey, if that 10-year-old is playing it, learn what they're doing. Because actually, again, Apex is a 3-on-3 or a 3-man team game. You're in a whole area where you're actually having to deal with other teams. You have to learn
each other.
It's not about murder.
Murdering each other.
It's not murder. You think, again, you've got to think bigger than just, okay. Well,
it's the grand scale, mass murder. That's what we're talking about. Holocaust. It's like a mini Holocaust on screen.
That's that, oh, get off my lawn. Old man talk.
You kept a nice lawn.
That is what my grandpa used to say. Don't be walking across my lawn.
He kept a nice lawn.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did the best on the block. Kim said, thank you for helping me confirm what I told my son. Abdul, was there anything else you wanted to ask or bring up before we get to our BPS person of the week? And just so you know, Mr. McDuffie, we like to honor people who are in the community, in the Black community, that people are not paying attention to. So Abdul, was there anything else, or the audience, was there anything else you wanted to ask before we jump to our BPS?
No, not about gaming, no.
We are not going backwards.
We are not going back there.
Abdul is right. Thank you. Thank you. On to the BPS person of the week.
Just happen to be there at the end. So just so you guys know, this coming, and we'll jump back to you, Mr. McDuffie, in a second. But this, if you guys don't know, this coming weekend is on Sunday is going to be Mother's Day, and so we would like to honor our mothers. And great thing that, Jatovi is on as well, because his mother is also going to be on this thing. So we want to honor our mothers right now. Special shout out to our family. Look how beautiful they are. Yay. Anything you guys want to say? So I'm not talking the whole time.
I always forget. My mom passed in 2002. So I always forget that it's Mother's Day. But, my mother was dope. So, nothing more you can say about that.
There you go. Janora, anything you would like to say?
Yeah, a couple things. Abdul, God bless your mom. She
Thank
clearly
you.
did a fantastic job. We might not see eye to eye on everything, but
And we're all
are
attractive. That's the great part about us.
Now, I was not going to go that far, but no, just kidding. But I do think that you having a heavenly mother is a really good point to remember when it comes to occasions like Mother's Day. Everybody doesn't have a mother that's still on this earth, or maybe everybody doesn't have a mother that it was a good experience or a good relationship. So I think always being sensitive and open and extra loving around these days are very important. And I think Jatovi and I are awfully blessed to have a mom that is so full of love and so full of good recipes. Oh, our mama throws down in the kitchen. And so, you know, I'm sure that my mom, our mom, would like to be recognized for more than just her good cooking, because she's a multi-dimensional person. But I swear, I think anytime you bring up my mama, don't matter who you are, but if you know the McDuffies, you are going to ask about something when my mama's cooking. She's just been such a blessing, but not just in the kitchen, but with all the love. And Jatovi, I guess, since yes, we have the same mom, if you want to say anything, because she also always watches every Wednesday. So hey, mama.
She cooks more than when you're home, Janora. Just to correct James on that. Couldn't be more thankful for the mother that I have.
Amen. Amen. I want to just say for my mom made a lot of sacrifices for me and my brother. You know, she was like, I ain't trying to live in the neighborhood where they break it into my house every single week. So she moved to the white neighborhood, and we were the only Black people in that whole entire neighborhood, because she wanted to make sure that we had the best schools and the schools that we wanted to go to that specialized in what we wanted to do in our lives, which was football for my brother, and then also, you know, being in theater for me. I mean, my mother would give me the car and take a cab so that I could stay after school and do theater. I mean, that's the type of mother that she is. And so a big shout out to her. And then I also want to give a shout out to the mothers who have lost a child, who might be thinking about Mother's Day from a different perspective, being a mother and who has lost a child. I want to send a little love your way as well. We honor you. We send love your way. And yeah, was there anything that you wanted to say, Abdul?
No. Happy Mother's Day to everybody. For all the moms out there.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I do want to say something. Please don't. If you're a man and you take care of a kid, I hate it when they go on Father's Day and they go, I'm a mother, but I'm a father too, so happy Father's Day to me. If you're a guy, let the moms have this time and shower them with presents and gifts and all that sort of good stuff. So, you know, give them their kudos this day.
Yeah, there you go. And a shout out to my other mom, my other mom. Who is, she hates it when I call her stepmom, but sending a little love out to her as well for Mother's Day. Jatovi, I just want to say thank you for being on the show. Thank you, Janora, for bringing your brother on the show today. This was very enlightening. This is a whole world that I'm going, wow. You know, and it's making so much money. And it's something that I think we all should be aware of. So we want to thank you and honor you for being just a part of our family and you know, blessing us with your presence.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me on. I mean, this was really awesome. Really awesome. You guys more than welcome to join me on my show when I have the Gamers Den. So yeah, jump on that anytime. We can continue the conversation, Abdul.
You can be wrong on your platform as well. I'm okay. I'm okay with that too.
just to let everybody know again about your platform that you have on Thursdays, correct?
Yep. Thursdays at 12 p.m. Eastern. We try and do a lunch show. I guess out in West Coast, it would be a brunch show. So we try and have that 12 p.m. Eastern show called Gamers Den. We touch on things such as the dark side of gaming. We dive more into what's actually educational in different games. We talk about how gaming isn't just killing, Abdul. So we try and expand and break down barriers so that parents can know what to say to their kids who tune them out when they're sitting there. No. You've got to be able to break down that barrier and speak to your child because your child is learning while you're not doing anything. We break down the barrier so your child can talk to the parent, so the parent can be involved in their life a lot more. So now you have a positive relationship happening. Do the same thing with races because we've got to break down the barrier we've got to take away the racism within the gaming community. We've got to take down the sexism that's within the community, the ageism that's within the community. Same thing with your ableism, because that's another thing that we have to fight against. Luckily, there are actually companies that are addressing the ableism part, which is awesome. But again, this is what I fight for on the Gamers Den. This is why I try and do those talks. And yeah, so join that. Come and play games. You guys, we can sit down and play Among Us, and I can show you guys what that is. There's some other games that we can play, from Minecraft to even one of the cool games that I picked up just recently called Valheim.
And tell us the time. You just gave us a broad, but what time is it? East Coast time.
East Coast time for the Gamers Den will be every Thursday at 12 p.m.
Okay, 12 p.m. So that's going to be 9 a.m. our time.
Yep, brunch.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's breakfast. That's breakfast. I'm like, lunch is about 11, almost, your time. I was like, that's when you said brunch. I was like,
Janora got the bougie outfit on, so I had to bring
this is my Mexican-inspired Cinco de Mayo outfit. Abdul first wanted to call it African. You want to call it bougie? No, this is my Cinco de Mayo look. I'm going with the indigenous people.
It's beautiful.
Thank you, Christy.
It works.
Thank you. And Jatovi, for people who can't make it on Thursdays, how else can people follow you? Or to reach out to you if you have questions or just follow your journey as all the things that you're doing with gaming?
The scroll that's going on right now, Bull City Gaming on Twitch. There's also BCG Esports on YouTube, which it'll scroll right there. And then the last one on Facebook, Bull City GG on Facebook as well. So those are the best ways to follow and keep up what's going on. And to actually be a part of not only the tournaments, to support the police program that I have going on, to help support the actual community that I'm constantly building, and also the other endeavors dealing with, the other battles that we have. Mm-hmm. So
I love it. Abdul, any last words before we shut it down?
Remember, it's not animated murder, it's biology, as says Jatovi.
Goodbye, Abdul.
That's why Kamala Harris is coming on the show one of these times.
Yeah.
Well, we want to say thank you to everyone out there. We have another. Is it next week? Or do we have
the 19th? The 19th.
The 19th. Okay, so my days. So we do have another guest coming up on the 19th. Next week will be all about our hot topics. We're gonna dive right in, like what? Mm-hmm. And thank you again for joining us. We'll see you next week. Thank you to our special guests and teaching us what esports is. And
and all the McDuffies and folks from the Bull City that rolled through today to show some love and support. Thank you. And my brother said my sister's next, so we'll see about that next season. She's got stuff to talk about too.
I love
and then y'all are over with the McDuffies.
I love it. All the support.
D Detroit, you're right.